Right, morning everybody. I'm sharing my screen. We're carrying on today with our budgeting exercise that we started last week. And last week was very disappointing for some of us because we realized that you can't just decide on what you're going to earn. You've got to use the inputs from your area. So you've got to first understand how many properties are for sale in your area. Then you've got to do the homework on how many you think you can sell. And then only does it turn out how many it'll show you what your actual income may or may not be. Now, this is fantastic. So that's the basis of planning and budgeting. So what that comes out at, if you do the exercise properly, is then you get a plan for sales for the year. Then you can use the periodization of the sales every 3 months, and if it's rentals, every month or so, and then you can plan for your year in a budget. So let's have a look at what to do about budgeting. Now remember, this is more theoretical. It's not really an exercise in budgeting. We can possibly do one of those if required, but I'm not so sure if you need it. We'll talk about it. So let's have a look. So apparently there are rules for budgeting. I didn't know this, but now we know this. There are rules. And the first thing we need to get into our heads is, do we need to budget? Now, if you are Elon Musk, I don't know if you need to budget. I'm not sure if it makes a difference if you have $100 billion or $150 billion. Okay. But I don't notice any of you at that kind of income. So I would suggest that you do need to budget. And it's not really about the income that determines the requirement to budget. It's simply that you all have getting income. And the way we specifically get income is irregular. Now, that tells anybody with any amount of foresight that if the income is going to be irregular, you better spend more time budgeting than if you were just getting a salary. Because if you're just getting a salary every month, all you have to do is make it to month end. And at the end of month end, you just wait for 4 days to go hungry. Sales agents can't work like that. Rental agents also, because our money is not precisely defined by a month end. It's no payday for us. Okay, so we work in these very randomish cycles. We know about it, but money doesn't know when it's coming. We know when it's coming, sort of. You know, the deeds office may or may not tell us. So yes, unfortunately, you do need to budget. But before we go put pen to paper, let's have a look at 4 rules of budgeting. Now, the 4 rules of budgeting, they come from a website called You Need a Budget. Have a look at it. It's quite useful if you want. But 2 things occur to me before we even get into that. A budget must be linked to real income. It's not a wish list. So exactly as we spoke about property, about the ability to earn out of your area, about actually doing the numbers, that will tell you how much you can earn. This is exactly what to do with budgeting. There's no use in doing a personal budget saying, and just putting a random number in there. You can't just put 100,000 Rand. It's absolute nonsense. If you know you haven't made any sales for February, your budget for February is 0. That's how much money you're getting in. Boom. And the light's gone out. Give us a moment. Anyway, I think our generators will kick in. So if you've got 0 in your budget, that means that you need to plan for that. And that's why budgeting for us is even more important. Okay. So the second thing about budgeting is, if my computer would come back on. Sorry. Go Eskom. Hang on. Right. So sales plans give you the target, as we know. But the actual sales gives you the rands. So yes, you've done a fantastic forecast. You've reduced that into a number. You even put your number into your budget. But you have to have successful sales. Otherwise, your budget's worth nothing. Okay, so those 2 things are very important. Right, so let's have a look at the rules for budgeting. The first rule for budgeting for your personal budget is to give every rand a job. So what does this mean? Well, what it means is that at a point in time in your month, whenever you get paid, because remember, it's not payday. It's not month end like everybody else. You'll just get a random amount of money, and boom, it lands in your account. Now, that's not party time. You can't just go, woo, fiesta, and rush out and buy yourself a new pair of shoes. That's not how it works. What this program suggests is that every single cent that's in your account is allocated a job. And what is its job? Well, I don't know. It depends on what your lifestyle is. So if you've got a baby, your baby should get some. If you've got pets, your pet should get some. Certainly your car should get some for petrol. Your rent should probably get some, and you probably need some food. Okay, so all of those things must be allocated an amount up front based on what's important to you. Now, why? Well, it's important to do that to the money so that when you look at your account and you're walking through Sandton Square on a Tuesday afternoon and you look and you see you've got 15,000 Rand, one might be tempted to buy a bag if you've got 15,000 Rand. But if you think of the money differently, if you think of each of those 15,000 Rand is broken up and each one's got a job, baby, car, food, rent, cell phone, then you haven't got 15,000 Rand. You got nothing because everybody's got its own job. And maybe there's a sixth one called handbag at Sandton. In that case, you can buy the handbag. So do you understand? It's not a bulk money anymore. It's a allocation per item of importance in your head because it's your budget. Okay, so the rule, simply one, is you get some money, you prioritize the money, and you give it a job, and you follow your plan. It's very simple. You mustn't deviate from your plan then. So going out, and you see this makes a big difference if on Friday night, now it's payday, you've got a little bit of money, and you say to your friend phones and says, hey, Anton, let's go out for pizza. You look at your bank account, 15,000 Rand. Surely I can afford pizza. But you know if you go there, your buddy hasn't been paid, so you're going to pay for your pizza, his pizza, and all the beers. It's going to cost you 800 Rand. Now, in your budget, if you look at it carefully, there isn't 800 Rand allocated for that. So, because the car, the baby, the pet, the food for yourself, the cell phone, and the handbag for Sandton all have been prioritized above buying your buddy a pizza. So what you will actually do is say, hey, listen, I haven't got money for pizza, but you can come to my house and we'll share a pizza because I have got 50 bucks. Okay, so that's the theory behind this thing. And I think it's very good. Right, that's rule one. Easy, eh? Let's have a look at rule two. Rule two is even easier. Save for a rainy day. Now, if you're a sales agent, you know that your income is irregular and you know that you're going to get income maybe today and maybe later this month and maybe only then in 2 months' time. So you better plan for that. So first of all, as the money lands in your account, everybody gets the allocation. Pets, baby, car, cell phone, food, and handbag at Sandton all get the allocation. And there's some more money left over. Of course, you got a double payment this month. So you allocated that same things for the next month. And maybe you got a proper payout and there's some leftover money. The seventh thing in your budget should always be for those one-off expenses that you don't expect. Now, we don't expect them, but we know they're coming. We know school's coming next year. We know school fees are going to be due. We know you're going to have to buy uniforms. You know you're going to have to buy pens and paper and books and everything. And that adds up, man. As you know, that's not a cheap exercise. So what do? You put it into your budget and you plan for it now. So you say, okay, 100 Rand a month I am putting aside. By the end of the year, I'll have 1,200 Rand, and that is the deposit for my school fees for my child. And then you forget about it, and you pay it when it comes up. You don't get to January and go, oh, my word, I haven't got the money. Now what? Now what do? Now you take it out of your food, or you take it out of your car, and you start stealing from yourself. It's a big problem. You've got to allocate properly and prepare for properly. And these are the kind of things. Not only school clothes, there's car services, there's medical doctor's visits, there's dentistry, there's, I don't know, there are a million things that can go wrong. So you need to have a contingency fund for emergencies. I lost my cell phone. What are you going to do about it? Well, it's not actually a problem if you plan for that. If you put 100 Rand or 200 Rand a month away for this emergency and you don't spend it on pizza and handbags, you will have it for when you need it. Okay. So you make provision for these big things. You turn them into a monthly bill. So you don't wait until they happen. You turn them into a monthly payment and you save for them monthly. So when they do come up, you can afford them, you pay them, and you forget about them. It doesn't become a crisis in your life. Right. So it takes the drama out of your life somewhat because you've planned for the expenses that come up regularly, annually perhaps, and you've also got a contingency for the one-offs. And you're going to say to me, but maybe I don't earn enough to do this. If you don't earn enough to do this, then you need to cut back on your expenses or you need to earn more. But what you can't do is not plan for it because the expense is coming anyway. So it's no use saying you can't plan for it because you can't afford it. It's coming. School fees are coming. So you better plan for it. Now, even if you save a little bit for it, maybe it's easier to find half than to find the whole. Okay, let's think about that. That's rule 2. Easier. Nice. I like this very much. Rule 3, roll with the punches. Now, this is for people like me who do go into Sandton and walk around, and we do buy the handbag. And then we go, oh my word, that wasn't in my budget. I bought this flipping handbag. Now what do I do about it? Well, what do you do about it? You say, I am the boss, so I can spend the money, but what I will do is reallocate my budget. So what you do if you spent the money either by stupidity or an expense that's come up unexpectedly, or something is broken that you need to fix, is you have to reallocate your resources. So you look at your budget again, and you look at your bank account, and you see, oh, I've got 15,000 Rand there. We've got food, we've got baby, we've got car, we've got cell phone, we've got a handbag, and we've got school fees, or whatever the other one was. And now I have spent 1,000 Rand that's not in the budget. So one of those, or all of them, have to get cut. So I'm going to say, well, I'm going to have to take a little bit out of petrol and a little bit out of food to cover the expense. So it's okay to make a mistake. You don't throw away the budget. You just fix it and you move on. It's your money. You can make the decision to spend it, but you have to find the money somewhere. You can't just pretend that the money was a luck that you found on the street corner, because you didn't find it. You stole it out of your budget. And when you take it out of your budget, you better plan to put it back into the budget, and you better make sure that the people in the budget, the monies that have been allocated, understand that they're going to be less than they were. Okay. And what's important is you cannot keep stealing from the same place. So you can't every month go out and have a pizza by accident. No, Anton, I tripped and I fell into the restaurant and my hand went up and it pointed to the menu, and that part of the menu was a calzone pizza and 3 beers, and it just happened. And it happens every month. Well, you better put that into your budget then. Put it into your budget and reduce something else to make provision for that, because you can't keep having those accidents of buying pizza by mistake. Okay. So rule 3 is find out where you are overspending, and then move funds from another category to cover that amount and move on with your life. And there's no need to have guilt about it. It's your money. You earned it. You deserve to do with it as you please, but you must recognize what you've done, and you must take from the other places where it lives and say, sorry, doggy, sorry, pet Fido, you cannot get any part of my budget. Okay. Sorry about this. So you don't need to be perfect. Remember this bottom here I'm showing you? You just need to be committed to the process of planning. So if you do rule 1, 2, and 3, you'll just get better and better at planning, and you'll get better and better at budgeting. And remember, budgeting, it takes time. It takes time to get it right. It takes time to get it right. Sorry, I was turning it out. It takes time to get it right, and it takes practice to keep it right. And after a period of time, you'll get better and better at it. So even if you've got very little income, if you budget, you'll find yourself in a better position in the future than you'll ever expect, because you don't need a lot of money to become a wealthy person. What you need to do is spend the money in the right places. Okay. Right, that's rule 3. Very simple. Talk about rule 4. This one's quite a unique, quite an interesting concept. What they talk about here is aging your money. Okay, so if you've done your first 3 rules and you start applying them diligently, you'll suddenly find that you've got a bit of leftover money every month. Why? Because you plan to spend the money and you don't plan to spend it all. So what happens is, let's say you get 10,000 Rand, you plan to spend it, and you've got 500 Rand left over. So next month, you'll have 500 Rand to start with. So you get another 10,000 Rand, you've actually got 10,500. And the following month, you'll have 500 from last month and 500 from that month. You'll have another 1,000. You'll have 10,000 plus the extra 1,000 Rand. So you'll have 11,000 Rand. And over a period of time, in this case, in that example, over a period of a year, you'll have your whole salary saved up because of the 500, 500, 500, 500, 500. At the end of the year, you'll have 6,000 Rand. Now, that doesn't, you don't go shopping with the 6,000 Rand. What you do is you leave it in your budget. And then what you do is you spend the old money first. So what they're trying to do is make your money old. Let it lie in your account for as long as you possibly can. So let's understand this. When you save up like that and there's an excess, let's say you've got that's 6,000 Rand because of the little amounts that you've saved every year. Well, I beg your pardon. At the point in time, that 6,000 Rand can be used to pay your rent. And today's payment, that 6,000 Rand allocated rent doesn't have to be spent. So you pardon. So what we're trying to do is you're trying to get to a position where you're spending money that you didn't earn this month, that you're spending older money. Why? Because it teaches you the discipline of allocating money correctly and having a surplus, and then using the surplus to pay for things, because it's old money and then the new money comes in. And what this does, if there's a shock to the system, if in a month suddenly you don't get paid, it's not a catastrophe, because you've got a whole month's worth of savings that you can use, that you've allocated, that can pay the bills. Okay, it's a wonderful place to get to. And you can get there if you just allocate your budget. So the rule 4 is be very purposeful in your spending. And if you consistently spend less than you earn by allocating it properly and letting the money work for you, your age of money will grow. And you'll find that you're spending money from long ago on bills, and the new money that comes in doesn't have to get spent on that day. So you're not desperately waiting for the registration so that you can frantically pay a bill. You can pay the bill, and that registration can take another week, doesn't matter. Okay, because you've saved the money. Okay, so this is just the 4 rules of money. It's very simple, very short. And all I wanted to do is sensitize you. We've done the budgeting and forecasting for your property business now. You understand how much is out there, what's available to you to earn, and you're going to be planning to get that money. Now, when you put that money into your personal budget, I would like you to consider those 4 rules. And those 4 rules will give your money a job. You can, you can work in a way that's far more sensible for you, so that you can reach the goals that you're looking for. Otherwise, you're just going to burn through the money, and you'll keep finding yourself going backwards and forwards. You know, 1 month you're ahead, and then for the 3 months you're behind. If you plan properly, you'll be ahead all the time. Okay, so good luck with this. This is very difficult. I'm not suggesting it's easy, but if you just apply your mind to this theory, and then you sit down and you actually do budget for it. So you've done your forecast, you know what you can expect to earn, you're looking at your pipeline, you can put in the actual figures, and then you can say, I'm going to give my money a job, and it's going to work for me. And then you follow these 4 rules, and I'm sure that you guys will have a much happier time with money. Anyway, as my good friend Malcolm used to say, go and sell some houses. Have a lovely day.